Good morning, guys. Sean KP here. I was asked to make another video like this. I will honestly tell you I do not know where the original is. I post so much content that the original video is somewhere. If you keep scrolling down and down and down and down, because I post videos daily of training, all that good stuff. Anyways, so I was asked to talk a little bit about the titles in the martial arts. Um, my area of expertise is so much the Japanese titles and the Okinawan titles, but we'll get into all that other stuff as well. So let's talk about the three that we hear a lot: Renshi, Kyoshi, Hanshi. These are what they call shogo titles, which are teaching licenses that were put together by the Dai Nippon Butokukai in 1895. It translates to the Greater Virtue Society of Japan, and it's basically a group that was set up to organize martial arts. So they wanted a system to basically indoctor different levels of teaching skill, ability, and time and grade. So we have Renshi, which is the first level of teaching, which means like polished individual. A lot of the direct translations are a little awkward, but it translates to a polished individual, a polished one. And the reason for that is this. Typically, most systems, the curriculum is done by 5th Dan. So between 5th and 6th Dan, at this point, you should be completely polished with all your material and able to give this material back to the next generation. So you're a polished one. So generally, you want to be about a 5th or 6th Dan when you have this. Now, here in the States, they tend to give it a little bit earlier at 4th Dan in some schools and styles. Everyone does things differently, and everyone has adopted these ranks differently. So you'll get a 4th Dan and right away you're a Renshi. It doesn't really work that way. You can be a 4th Dan and not have a Renshi title because you didn't go through the credentialing process, because you just don't want to teach. Some people are just students and aren't looking to so much teach. They might help their instructor every now and then, but not looking to open a school or run a class. They just want to train. The next level is Kyoshi, which roughly translates to like a professor, right? So if someone's a teacher in kindergarten through high school, they're just a teacher. But once you get to college, now you're a college professor, right? So that's the idea. Is this is the next level. I'm not just a Renshi, I'm not just a polished one, but I've been teaching for some time, and now I am a Kyoshi. The last and highest is Hanshi, which translates to like role model or one to be modeled after. So that is the goal. That person there, their teaching ability, their skill, their knowledge, that is what you want to become. This doesn't mean that the Hanshi stops. The Hanshi has to keep being a Hanshi, keep being amazing and outstanding, and you just want to get to that level one day. So that is the Hanshi. The another title that you hear a lot is Shihan. So there's titles that are teaching licenses and titles that are positional, which people don't understand. So titles like Kancho, Kaicho, Sosai, which you might hear, and the only place that uses the Kyokushin. Soshu is another Oyama Kyokushin offshoot. Shihan, Shuseki Shihan, Dai Shihan, titles like that. Those are positional titles, meaning they basically describe your place in an organization, right? Or a school. So the Shihan is typically the head instructor of a school. That's basically what it means, because it roughly translates to like an expert, but really it's someone who is the head teacher. So he has teachers underneath him, black belts underneath him. He's the head teacher of the school. He is the Shihan. So can a Renshi be a Shihan? Yes. Can a Kyoshi be a Shihan? Yes. Can a Hanshi be a Shihan? Yes, because it's all positional. Now, when you're Kyoshi and Hanshi, chances are you might be a Shuseki Shihan, which is the chief Shihan. So there's other Shihans that have schools underneath you, and you're the chief. You're the head guy. So that's what Shuseki Shihan translates to. Kaicho is more used in a business sense, but some groups use it, and it's basically Kai is group, Cho, the suffix Cho means leader, so leader of the group. Kancho, Kan is house, as we all know, same thing, so Kancho is the leader of the house, and that's how those titles work. So they're not necessarily directly translated to rank, as in more in position of an organization. Then Sensei. Sensei isn't so much a title. Sensei is what we call an honorific, right? So same thing as senpai. So what people don't understand is, because again they try to, acclimate everything, which is cool and fine, but the Japanese structural society is very different than ours. So in school, if someone has been in a class longer than you, or anything, a club longer than you, they are your senpais, and there is a certain level of respect that's given. So that goes in and out of the dojo. That's why people sometimes might be like, oh, would you want someone to call you your title outside of a dojo? Well, in Japan, they kind of do. They, even in workplace, this is whatever, Kanazawa senpai or whatever. They are someone who's been in the job longer than them, so they pay them the same respects. The same thing works in Korean culture as well. Like, the youngest person has to pay for people's meals in certain Asian cultures. Sometimes it's the oldest person that has to pay for everyone's meals if they go out. The youngest person has to wait till the older person drinks a sip of their alcohol before they can, or starts eating before they can. That's just societal structure. So that bleeds into the martial arts, not because of a hierarchy. It's just because that's the way their society works. So senpai is a thing. Kohai is a thing, because it's not so much of a title like, yeah, I am a senpai. My title, senpai. No, it just means that that's your position to them. So if I start training today, the person who trained yesterday, started training yesterday, is my senpai, and I will acknowledge them as such. But the person who starts after me, I am now their senpai, they're my kohai. So again, in their structural society, they acknowledge each other as such. And that's a hard thing for America to, and the West to kind of grasp, because this is the land of freedom, right? Our structure is completely different. The way we treat our teachers and our law officials are completely different. There's a different respect there when it comes to the Asian culture and the Western culture. But that's a little bit on some of the titles. I hope that helps. People are going to do whatever they want anyways, and I'm not telling people not to. But just remember, just because you're a 4th dan doesn't mean you're a Renshi automatically. Or just because you're an 8th dan doesn't default you to a Hanshi. That's a teaching license. It's completely different. It works differently in their society. However you work into your organization is different, but just bear in mind that some groups do things differently.